Never thirsty. Never thirsty.
Yes, never thirsty.
What's up, fellas?
There, Neff. How are you, man?
Sure. That's just crazy.
Okay, well, we'll get into that. I am Stu Stone, a.k.a. Chitty Bambino. This is Never Thirsty Radio. Don't be thirsty out there. Always stay hydrated. Being thirsty, that's a sign of desperation, and that's not what you want to be in life. You don't want to be desperate. You want to be You want to be quenched. I'm drinking coffee again. I'm doing a very bad job showing people how to stay hydrated because I just keep drinking this hot bean water every time we're doing this because it's like I'm so tired and I feel like this is the jolt that I need because I'd rather drink my energy because I don't smell my energy. I don't do that. So I'm just going to have to drink this coffee and wake up. But we also have obviously joining us all the way from New York, the hip hop capital of planet Earth, the b-boy capital of planet Earth, and of course, the man himself, the last, the great, the only American b-boy there is, Mr. B-boy Neffy Neff. NVRThirsty. Neff, how are you, Neff?
All right. Hanging in there, brother.
All right. And then, of course, from Dusseldorf, we have the king of Instagram, the king of the king of Bob's Gentlemen's Club in Dusseldorf, Germany, Mr. WireFang. Mr. WireFang. So, we don't have as much time this week for pleasantries, or for this episode, I should say, for pleasantries. We do have a guest that's going to be popping in shortly here, all the way from Finland, a gentleman by the name of Jaakko. Jaakko. And he is a director, a filmmaker, a producer, a musician. He wears a million hats, and he's a pretty outrageous guy. So we'll be talking to him shortly. But while we do have some time to say hello to each other, what's up with you? Your hair is looking good. This is a few days growth, and it's looking good. It came in nice.
No, I got another haircut.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Well, that was quick.
I had some business to take care of in Miami. So I had to get right for it. So I had to get another haircut.
Gangsters don't die; they get rich and move to Miami or something. What's the line? Jadakiss?
They get chubby.
They get chubby and move to Miami. Yeah. You have an ass cap or get your ass capped. What song was that? That's a Jay-Z song. That Jadakiss is spitting that verse on that I'm talking about.
I'm trying to think. I can't think of the song right now. Reservoir Dogs?
Is that what it is? I can't pull
Reservoir Dogs.
I can't pull it up and play it because I get in trouble from WireFang if I play music. But it's like it's like
it's like Reservoir Dogs.
70s sort of funk soul beat.
Yeah, Reservoir Dogs.
Gangsters don't die; they get chubby and move to Miami. That's the line.
Yeah.
You see, even then, it's like it didn't take verses for me to figure out that Jadakiss is the man. It's like I knew. It's like people knew already that he was the man, and it's nice that the younger generation is able to sort of see what we already knew. But
Jitty, I need something from you. I need something from you. There's a versus coming up that you have to watch. So we could just.
Is it Toto versus Ambrosia? Because I'd watch that.
Not quite, brother. Not quite.
So what is it?
But it's Big Daddy Kane.
Oh, snap.
Versus KRS-One.
Wow. That's like pay-per-view.
It's going to be outstanding.
Are they going to battle?
Have you ever watched the verses yet or no?
I have. I know they like play songs and they do.
That's it.
But didn't those two used to battle each other back in the day, or that's not?
Well, I remember KRS, and I think they were boys because KRS used to diss the whole Juice Crew damn near.
Right.
Well, he was dissing MC Shan, Marley, but I think Kane, if I'm not mistaken, Kane didn't get in it like that because him and KRS was tight or they was cool.
I mean, those are two of the GOATs.
Yeah. Now let's talk about albums. I don't want to get too crazy, but I think KRS might he might get him because KRS.
Well, he's got the BDP stuff and he's got the KRS stuff. And I'd say for me specifically, like Big Daddy Kane was really at his Big Daddy Kane was at his ultimate high level. I was still a youngster in the hip hop world. You know what I mean? And I feel like I saw the remnants and the influence that he had on artists, especially in Toronto. There's a rapper that was big here called Maestro Fresh West, who was Canada's Kane. You know, it's like his influence was definitely felt here, but it was like sort of in that, like the first, you know, LL Cool J going back to Cali, like someone's older brother played it at like a dance party. Like that was like what is that? You know, it's like that's sort of Big Daddy Kane for me. Whereas KRS-One, you know, his solo efforts that he did, and he had the track with Premier and all that, that stuff was in 94, 95, 96, 93. You know, that era, Big Daddy Kane wasn't really putting out. And KRS was. And so maybe he gets the nod for me just on a personal level, KRS, because, you know, I definitely bought his records, and there was more of his records to buy because Big Daddy Kane, like, I feel like stopped putting out music, or if he did put out music, I just was unaware of it.
Well, Kane, you know, had Long Live the Kane. That was his first album.
Yeah, of course.
And then KRS had Criminal Minded. Let's just start there.
Yeah.
Now, Criminal Minded got just this all personal opinion, about 6 joints on there that you can.
Yeah, of course.
Undeniable. But so does on Long Live the Kane. Kane got about the same amount. Yeah. Undeniable. But now we're moving to there's 20 songs in the verses. It's 20 verse 20. KRS-One has My Philosophy, that album. Is that what it's called? My Philosophy? That's the name of it. I don't remember the second album, the name of it. But then he goes into, you got
he had some actual like crossover radio hits in the mid-90s too. Like Step Into
Yeah, he's not even gonna get all the way over there. He's gonna get there, but it's so many songs he has.
That's what I'm saying.
Listen, we gotta recap it. Once it happens, this is the first time we're talking to verses, a pre-versus conversation between me and you.
I mean, I think that it's going to be amazing no matter what. And if I was to think of like the spawn of KRS and Big Daddy Kane, I would say Big Daddy Kane probably influenced guys like Jay-Z a little bit more. And I would say that KRS-One probably influenced guys like Nas a little more. So I would say that, like, you know, if you understand where I'm going with that, like Talib Kweli is probably a big KRS fan, Most Def. Whereas Big Daddy Kane probably influences Biggie, you know, all these kind of like Puff Daddy, Biggie, Jay-Z, a lot more of the modern sort of style of music. Sort of, he was doing that years ago. Anyway, is it time? Is someone at the door, WireFang? We have our guest. Speaking of hip hop legends, big transition here. We're going to bring in all the way from Finland. I mean, this is an international affair right now. Let's bring him in. The great Jaakko.
Jaakko.
Hello, everybody.
What's up, brother?
How you guys doing? I'm actually fresh from Finland. I just got home. I live here in the countryside in Southern California.
Oh, you're in California?
Mm-hmm.
I thought you were in Finland.
I just flew in, last night.
Oh, so wow. Boy, you're tired.
No, it's all good. So speaking of KRS-One, I work with Delicious Vinyl, and they have these block parties, and he was just recently at the West Adams block party, and they actually had both of them, I think. And I would say KRS-One, he kind of brought it home, but definitely. Yep.
Now let's talk about that. So you grew up in Finland, and obviously I've met you in person. I've seen like this type of music and stuff that you make, and there's definitely a hip hop influence to you. So like in Finland, like how did you first meet hip hop? What was your introduction?
Well, I mean, it was just like the mainstream radio, like that would be early 90s, and there would be like kind of like a BBC, the government main radio, that would have a hip hop or a program that would play a little bit of hip hop. So you would have to have your cassette ready and be like, okay, now they're playing some, and then you just record. Maybe I would catch like 2-3 songs on a cassette every week, and next week I'll record a few more.
So who were the artists though that you were hearing?
I mean, it was that early 90s kind of. It was definitely some of the ones that really stood out was some of the KRS-One stuff, and there was definitely, I'm just trying to think what were the ones that really kind of like took me and got me into hip hop, I would say it would be like OPP and Naughty by Nature, that kind of stuff. Those are the first ones I remember being like, holy, what the hell is this? And obviously we did have MTV as well, so around early 90s, so that kind of blew the lid on it. But my earliest memories are like recording cassettes from the national TV, or not TV, the radio, and that was like, it was such a underground scene over there. But right now in Europe in general, their localized hip hop music is the biggest music style. Like you go to Italy, the biggest music is Italian language hip hop. In Finland, top 10 is Finnish language hip hop. Sweden, same thing. Like Germany, I'm sure
they're rapping all over the world.
And I personally think it's more respectful that you are doing it in your own language, so that it becomes part of your culture. You're not trying to be somebody from the States trying to be your accent. And it's like,
speaking of international rappers, I want to just bring up a group that like I don't know too much about, but I know they're super popular and I have checked out some of their videos and stuff. This group called BTS. Obviously, we all know BTS.
Yeah,
it's like a group of like 20 guys that like sing and dance. But there's like 9 rappers in that group. Like literally, there's like 11 guys and 9 of them rap.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Insane. And I mean, the funny part about the Korean pop music, K-pop scene, I've got some records that have been number ones in Japan and stuff. And they always have that bad boy. Basically, they took whatever, like they had early 90s boy bands, basically came from those, what was it?
New Kids on the Block.
New Kids which was basically a ripoff of New Edition.
Which was a ripoff of the Jackson 5. But
yeah. So, but anyway, they took that formula. They always had that bad boy. But the Koreans, they just took it up to 11. They were like, okay, boy bands, 5 people. We need to go. Let's cover all the bases. And then what they're also doing is that they'll be like, okay, 5, you guys tour South, East Asia. You guys do Japan. You guys go to the States. So it's like a whole, and they take those talented kids, they put them in an apartment block, and they start teaching them. And they fly guys from LA to teach them how to rap, and they teach them how to, and they make the beat. A lot of the beats are made in LA actually for the Asian pop groups as well. And it's like you wouldn't even guess what kind of really credible people are involved on some of those records. And the funny part is that you send the demos in English, and it might be whatever song, and they will take it. They will take your flow. They will take your the intonation, but they'll do it in Korean. But then they will put a few English words that are just the simple English words, like baby, hello, yeah, and then they will like splice, but it will not have anything to do with whatever the original lyric was. It has no, context.
So the translation is not even accurate.
Not even close. It's just like, I remember we had a song called Speedball, and it went, I was about like something like hot and cold and all kinds of those kind of analogies, and then it was like boy, girl, hello, everybody, or something like that. It was just like not even in the ballpark, but it is a funny scene, and I love that because a lot of times like, oh, it's actually pretty good, and you're like, oh, if you knew. There's like really credible producers behind some of those, because those records,
I mean,
the money is good.
If you think about artists that were foreign language, and we'll just say foreign language because we're here in the United States and Canada here, and so people who are performing not in English, let's just say, very short list of people who have had success with non-English songs. It's obviously getting way better now in the last couple of years, especially for Latin artists.
But Korean, the K-pop is
and that's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to get to that. So, I think back to my childhood, and I can think of like 99 Red Balloons was like in German, like on MTV. I can think of a few other kind of, you can count on one hand. But now, when watching BTS specifically, these guys now they're doing it in English. It's like, so it's like, pretty remarkable, actually. You know, to have a song go big where the 99% of the American listening audience doesn't understand a word you're saying is pretty incredible. BTS is it's insane. You know, the guy who did like the Gangnam Style, that guy.
Yeah.
I mean, that song was a huge hit. Nobody
So-
knew.
That's social media
Yeah,
for you right there.
yeah. But
it's unbelievable. Like when I had the first cuts, like when I actually moved to LA in 2010 or something, some of the first cuts I had were with like some Asian pop groups, and I was like, okay, they were like talking, yeah, we're gonna come to the States, we're gonna show everybody, it's gonna be it's already bubbling under, like, yeah, whatever. I as if, but it's insane. The young audience, like they would take. And because some of those, because they will have those kind of cool, kind of crossing over the states kind of vibe. But the main stuff that's really big in the pop boy band, girl band scene there, that is crazy. It's like, okay, here's some cocaine, here's some sugar, put it all in your mouth, and then put some Euro techno on it and go nuts. It's like you cannot like enjoy it until you're very high on some uppers, because it's insane. But these kids, they're naturally on that sugar high, I guess. I don't know, but I guess it makes me sound old and feel old too, because it's like, oh man, I'm just not understanding it.
If you go to if you've ever been to a theme park, you know, like a Six Flags or Disney, and you go and you see like they have like a show at like the Goofy Pavilion or whatever.
Yeah.
It's all these people kind of singing and dancing on stage. Like that's what I see when I watch these acts. Like it's 11 guys and they're dancing and it's like a whole spectacle
like that. That's
like
how
the
they was
river,
dancing.
that's how they dance. But it's like the
Okay.
river dance, or like you know, it's like they're doing. It's like you know, when American Idol used to have like all the cast members are out singing and dancing, and it's like that.
Yeah, but I mean, it's
except they're rapping.
Yeah, now they're also doing the raps, and then you'll have like that rap part of the 20-member band are gonna do the raps, and then you have your cute, nice guys, and then you have the really good dancers, and they always have that structure. You have that pool.
There's all like characters and personalities. It's like,
yeah,
that guy's the bad guy. That's the really bad guy. That's the slightly less bad guy.
Medium bad, like, okay, it's not too bad, but still also raps. You know.
So was it a hard transition for you? Let's shift gears for a second while we've got you. Was it a hard transition sort of coming from Finland and being involved in the music scene and making the transition to America? Was that a difficult? I'm sure there's lots of people who are watching this that are in Finland or somewhere else, not America, that see what you've done and are inspired by that. So how difficult was it for you to come and sort of get amalgamated into the American system?
Well, coming in, definitely, you know, a good example is that when you put a record out in Finland and it's good quality, it's pretty likely you can get it out in the radio without, like, you can just probably just walk into the radio and say, hey, here's my new record. And they're like, okay, well, I know you from, you know, you played around. Like, it's such a small pool and small circuit. So you can actually probably, like, at least when I started, that's how I got started. I just like walked into the radio station with my buddy and we were like, okay, here is this. And they'd say, okay, we'll play it in some like little up and coming demo kind of vibe. But then it took off, and they will push your record. There wasn't like a big politics scene going on. So I had done some amazing big things, and also in some countries in Europe, like let's say Italy and stuff like that. That's what you can still do. Like if you have a good connection with the radio, you can actually get pretty big without a big machine. Whereas in the States, as we know, it is a completely different game. So, you know, it was kind of shocking to come in and you're like, you know, okay, I think I'll make it work. You know, I made it work before. Before that, I had a pretty successful career for about 10 years, touring all over the Europe and having some, you know, not like crazy big hits, but like top 10, you know, pretty decent success and a lot of airplay and a lot of like, you know, just things going on from almost every project I put in. And then coming in and you're like, holy, this is a completely different game. And it's so much bigger. You know, the reward is 100-fold. Like the most successful, most, you know, popular artist, like if you're like the number one artist, maybe, you know, you're like making a couple $100,000 a year, maybe at most $1 million when you're really, really like you do a sold out Olympic stadium for like 5 weeks in a row or something, like something massive. That's your only payday. Then it'll go away. But and crossing over all over Europe is a little bit more complicated because there are countries like Germany and France, that actually are, and England, where actually the game is kind of similar to what it is here. But coming in, I was like very surprised. It was shocking to see how much politics is involved, how much you got to be like, okay, well, that person knows that. Okay. Just the fact that, okay, we're writing songs and we might have to add a bunch of people as writers who have nothing to do with the session and nothing to do with the song, but they're like, oh, well, I know that person. I'm going to play to that person. And then that's the only thing they added. They just played it.
But it's a big clog in the wheel, though.
Yeah, but exactly. And I'm okay with it, but it took a while. And also the fact that, when you know somebody, meet somebody through somebody, you can't just go, hey, cool, I'll go and work with you now from now. Like, you got to be loyal to those people. You can't just like turn your back and say, hey, that was nice. We connected a little better. Let's get out. It's more like you got to understand
that's 3 times, by the way, that Jaakko owes money to the swear jar. I've been counting.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Internet is. I thought 15, internet radios usually you can swear.
No,
right?
Yeah, it's $15. You send that to cable guy Jeff.
Okay. I will. I have some cans here. I'll just go return them, and I'll. Or I mean, do you take weed? I don't know if that's a formal.
Is that a swear word? I don't know. So you're actually living in California right now. You're working actively. I know you're also a filmmaker. You direct videos. You do graphic design. You sort of do it all. Is that sort of what you have to do these days? Is you have to do it all because it seems like you wear a lot of hats.
It's just like what inspires me at any certain time, and the people who I work with. It's really just whoever I happen to be connecting with at the time. And I love just doing all kinds of things. It is possible to make it in just doing music, but I'm not that interested. It just gets boring because you also have to kind of be limiting yourself because you have to look at so many other things than just that spur of the moment excitement, that vibe where you're like, oh man, like, let's create something, create magic, let's make it happen. There's a lot of that grind, which just doesn't get me that excited anymore. So I'm more like looking for new places of inspiration. And right now I'm creating this art installation thing, like a giant kaleidoscope that we're going to put up, and it's going to go on tour all over the States, and where you can experience all kinds of crazy stuff. So it's got nothing. I mean, I'm making film there. I'm doing animations. I'm constructing stuff. I'm putting it all together and making sonics and weird sounds. Like, we just put out a movie that's about a person who's basically making music from killing people. She kills people and then she creates music out of it. So I was really excited to be that guy whose job is to figure out, how does that sound? How would 20-something girl go about? These are the scenes, these are the killings, this is how these people are going to die. Okay, what kind of a masterpiece would she be working on, and how would it actually come together, and how would it sound so that it would be at least 1% believable? But
so what did you have to do? Go out and kill people?
No, I mean, we just took like basically meat and all kinds of tools and just like created samples. And of course, it was just actually a lot of it was just putting it together in the larger context of how do we make those things to come alive. But it was definitely really, again, something very different, something a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun doing.
You said meat. So are you talking about you like would get a piece of meat and like hit the meat like rock?
Yeah, and just like mic it differently so we can kind of get different sounds and but of course, how actually it was like trying to get a sound and bones, to crack bones and sounds that you can still kind of connect with whatever was going on in the picture. There was like some finger slicing sounds that I needed to figure out. That one we actually then ended up just using
a carrot.
No, I can't remember what we were chopping, but we were like chopping it. But because now when I actually see the scene, I feel it in my fingertips. I'm like, but actually it wasn't. I wasn't actually like using it, but I was able to make impression for myself that even after like a year, I'm like, oh, I can't. Oh, and I'm not even like a huge horror movie fan, but there was just a challenge I just needed to kind of
That's pretty cool.
into. So just
That's
an
very
example
cool.
that whatever excites me, and this is exactly what I've been working on. Why I was in Finland was to promote this book that just came out.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah, so it was like I got 2 kids. My older one's 7 years old, and I've been reading books to him a lot. And my favorite books to read really are those Dr. Seuss, some of the old school stuff where their language is just really rich and it really flows. And I was just working with the flows, and I was like, this is almost like rapping, like, and it would become like my son would become my doubler, so he would be like the guy doing the endings, and I'd have to like lean back so he can do the endings, like, and that's why they call it that Hoop Soup Snoop group, and that So I was like, this is a great connection. And then of course he connected me with hip hop, and they have nothing like that. They don't even have Dr. Seuss translated in Finnish. So I was like, okay, well, I do know like the biggest rappers in that country, and that's the biggest music style there, and they are also my boys from back in the day. So I just reach out to the main guy who was like the pioneer of Finnish language hip hop, and he Elastinen, and he was like, yeah, sounds good, but I got a tour coming up and all that, and the money on a children's book in itself isn't like amazing, so you're not like, oh, I'm gonna make a lot of money with it, and now he can commit some time to that. It's just because it was just such a good idea to put down. Then there was this guy, so we were like, someday pile, and then when the corona hit, his tours got canceled. So, and at the same time, this one guy was doing Dr. Seuss over Dr. Dre beats, and they became really famous, and like got a lot of views. And I was like, this is a sign, we got to do this, man. And of course we then started like every Tuesday, because it's 10-hour time difference to Finland. Every Tuesday night, Monday night for me, 11 p.m. It's 9 a.m. over there. We would get together and just start brainstorming. And pretty early on, it became clear that we want to make it, about the culture, and we want to make it so that it's really just, showing the depth of what hip hop is original, where we grew up.
It's pretty incredible, man. It's like just from me, Neff and I, we talk, like a couple of guys on the porch, shooting the breeze about hip hop in the glory days. Like, we're very much get off my lawn type of guys, and we really love the old school. And I think I'm speaking right, Neff. We're sort of in that same boat. We love to sort of reminisce about the glory days. And it's interesting to hear that Jaakko from Finland is like a guy who's making a children's book that's like was inspired by hip hop all the way over there. It's just a universal language. It's incredible. So what's the name of the book?
It's called, well, in English, it's Bex and the Source of Inspiration. And it's really just about, it's about when it's hella boring, because kids are always like, oh man, I had nothing to do, it's so boring. And the idea is that you can use language to get any place, anywhere, you can get rid of being bored and just get inspired. And the idea is that there's actually the rapper's, his kid has an imaginary friend called Bex, and who lives in his backpack, and he's always the one who's been blamed for everything. So we kind of took that as the influence. And Bex looks like this. Wait, where is he? Oh, there we go. We see him. He's like that, and he's like a shape.
Oh, that's dope.
He's a shape-shifting character, so he's got
the Kangol LL Cool J cap.
Yeah, let me see.
Can you put that back up again so we can see it?
See if I can see, because I actually just ran out of the books. But let me see if I can show a little visual. Can I share my screen? No, can I? Hold on. I think I saw a share, like a button somewhere. Let me see. Hold on. If I open this, okay, share. I have it open so I can just show you a little bit of how it looks, because I think it's easier to explain what's going on. So,
look at this.
This is the guy, and that the whole vibe is we wanted the visuals to really be old school. Like, we want the whole thing, when we do beats on it, it's all old school. Like, we got Cool Herc, we got Tupac, B.I.G., and then like a Tribe Called Bex, and like we're just kind of making it so that it's just all about that
Yeah,
vibe.
really cool.
All about
That's
that visual. And like I'm just showing like a little teaser.
Oh wow.
Kun ei tekemistä keksi, Lili eikä leksi.
And
Apuun tulee
he's got her homie rap rat who always drops beats.
Se on mielikuvitusta, eikä sanomakaan totista. Leikitään sanoilla ja samalla opitaan hip-hopista. Kun tyhjästä luo uutta,
Got Wu-Tang Cloud right there.
luovuutta. Tuu mukaan, tää kirja voi maailmasi muuttaa. Bex ja luovuuden lähde. Vuoden
So that whole idea is that
it's coming out in Sativa.
yeah, it's coming out. I mean, we got the biggest publisher in the country.
Dude, that is really impressive. I gotta say, man, I gotta give you flowers for that because that's pretty.
That was incredible.
The idea is that and we were doing some book fairs and they had a bunch of books reserved for the whole weekend that they usually sell at the book fair. We sold it out in like 30 minutes. So it was clearly there's like good, like there's a demand for it. A lot of guys in our age range, I'm like in my 40s, just having kids and just showing having something to share with their kids from where I came from. Like when I kind of got into I was part of a crew where we started a hip hop like a record store. So I was like always digging through the crates for samples and stuff. And this guy, like the rapper guys, came as like a 14 to 16-year-old homie. Like we would kind of connect there over hip hop records. And so kind of that was our history, like really, going through the source. We wanted to bring that over here. And the whole point is that it's talking about what it is in terms of, we're talking about the whole concept that when you don't have anything to do, that's when you have a empty slate. You have room in your mind to broaden it. And then we're talking about, first of all, it's always talking about any idea or the guy who's been the Bex guy. When he appears, he always comes with his homeboy, the rap rat, who has always carrying some sounds, some device to create a beat with. So first he comes in with a boombox, then he's gonna do beatboxing, then he has like turntables, obviously, and then he's doing like he has a drum machine, then he's doing MPC. So, and we're always like having little info. Okay, so what is sampling? Well, it's like kind of like tasting, sampling of different songs, and you put it together, and it's like trying to explain these concepts as well, like on a kind of like approachable level, and inspire kids to understand what a drum machine does. Or
I think it's great. I think it's great.
Incredible.
Well, I think it's great. So we'll share the information with the people of where they can get it. And that would be fantastic if they do. At Beats and Styles Music is where you can find Jaakko on Instagram. And we'll have to come back and talk to you after this comes out and hear how it went. But I think that it's really cool and we're impressed. And, always good to talk to you.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
And for every country, we're looking for the rappers to represent and do their own language versions. So hit me up on IG.
That's a good idea. So definitely, Jaakko, we will be speaking to you again in the future. Best of luck with the project. We're rooting for you, man. And be well. And stay hydrated.
Peace, Jaakko.
Take care, guys. Thanks.
Take care. That was Jaakko, very unique guy with crazy skill set. I mean, he produces really well, like music-wise, and he is a musician, and obviously he's an artist. Look, that was pro. That was really good. Anyway, I do have to wrap it up, but we're going to be talking again in a few days, Neff, and I'm sure we'll have more time to sort of break it down. But a special shout out to Cable Guide Jeff. Thank you to Neff. Thank you to WireFang. I am Stu Stone, Chitty Bambino. Stay hydrated. Never be thirsty. And don't forget to hit subscribe, and you'll be able to get
that like button.
And then you'll be able to get updated. And we got merch and some other stuff happening too. So all the best. Zigazint, Zygazint, Baruch HaShatah, all the good stuff. And we will speak to you next time, Neff.
Yes,
take care,
we
boys.
will.
All right.
Never thirsty. Never thirsty.